Welcome. This is the After the Sale episode. January 25th and 26th of 2005 was the sale, the consummation of the sale of Beckett Publications. First thing they did was change the name to Beckett Media. They didn't really, it's a technicality, but they didn't buy the company. They just bought substantially all the assets of the company. They didn't buy the cards and the art, but all the stuff they needed to make the magazines and make the books. They didn't need the cards because they already had all the images from the previous books and magazines. And then going forward, they had their own stuff. So I don't know that I was relieved the day after selling the company. I knew what I was retiring from, but as I've advised other men that get to their 50s and 60s and 70s, I wasn't positive what I was retiring to. I already had, I had a life outside of sports cards and outside the company, but a substantial part of my energy was going toward being involved with cards, with the publishing and the grading and all this stuff like that. So my life's different now. I think it's different, better in respect of what it was those last few years before I sold. Like I said, I didn't really enjoy being a CEO as much as I'd enjoyed being more of a hands-on COO or president, or being involved with the pricing guys and hitting shows and just that was the peak of my enjoyment. But I really love being a pro bono consultant now. That's mainly what I do. I help organizations and leaders with issues they have, and a lot of it is based on successes I had, but it's a surprising amount of advice I can give that are based on failures and things that happened to me that I don't want to happen to other people. One mistake I made, just as I'm reflecting back, is that on January, 25th, 26th was when the company was sold. Shortly thereafter, and one of the things the acquirer said is, I understand that when you get this money from us, you're planning to give bonuses to your employees. And we really applaud that. That's really nice. You don't have to do that, but I know they'll appreciate it. But we want you to tell us how much money you gave to each employee. And I thought, well, they probably could figure it out, or, that's just a little bit awkward. I said, okay. Well, friends, that was a mistake, because when they got that schedule of everybody got a bonus, but some people got more than others, it was based on quantity of work, quality of work, seniority, excellence, lots of different factors. So it was kind of subjective. But the new company took that bonus schedule and ranked the people from who got the biggest bonus to who got the smallest bonus. Now, the smaller bonuses were people that had been there a lot less time, some even less than a year, or they were in lower salaried positions. Well, the acquirer basically took that bonus schedule and cut a lot of the people that were at near the bottom of that bonus schedule. And it was after the smoke had cleared, and that was upsetting to me. But their logic in hindsight was, this guy's run this company for 20 plus years. He knows the people. He appreciates the people. He even loves the people, but some he loves more than others. And the ones that are getting the smallest bonus, he must not love them very much, or they must not be very good. And so if we're looking for if we want to immediately cut some payroll, that's where we're going. And so I just felt horrible about that. So that did happen. I don't know that it was exactly 10% of the employees, but you've heard of that being done at times. So that was not a happy day for me. But again, I'd sold the company. I wasn't in charge anymore. They paid the money, earned the right to run the company they wanted to. And as many of you know, the company was resold 5 years later to another group. So even though I was trying to find a group that was benevolent and kind and sharp, and they for the most part were, but then 5 years later it's being resold, and I have no say in that, and that's the current group that runs it. But I loved being in the hobby before I had the company. And then when I had the company, it became a business. And now for the last 15 years, it's no longer a business that I own or I'm involved in day to day at all. So it's back to being a hobby. But they bought my name. So I can't be Beckett. I guess I can be Beckett Interests, and I can be myself. I can be a person, but I can't start a company called Beckett Sports Cards. Because they've bought that. They paid for a non-compete, which wasn't perpetual, but was for like 5 years. But I really wasn't that much interested in competing anyway. I wanted to be helpful, especially when the first group had bought the company those first few years, and the new CEO came in, the guy that I had known of and had a close mutual friend. He turned out to be, I think, really good. He was different from me in some interesting ways that allowed my team, my former employees, to appreciate him and his different kind of excellence. But he was a really sharp guy. And so I was still officing in the building for a year and a half after that because that was just part of the deal. And during that time, the new CEO I would never step on his toes. So I wouldn't go to meetings. I wouldn't be looking over his shoulder, and he would be very careful and conscious of not appearing to consult me if there was a problem. But sometimes at 6 o'clock or 6:30 after everybody was gone, he'd knock on my door and say, "Hey, what's going on? What's the story about this?" So he didn't want to have any appearance of the fact that he wasn't in charge, and he was in charge. And like I said, I think he did an excellent job. But then then it was resold. When I was after about a year and a half, the office lease was up, and so they moved on. When they moved, I moved to another office. So that was another chapter in my life. So I was no longer officing with my old teammates. They were in a different building. It's where they are now. And I moved to another office with some friends, with some close friends, and again took the furniture that I had set aside and all that. And then after a few years after that, I got involved with ComC as a mainly to sell some of the stuff. I have a bunch of stuff, and I just had a very long tail type of collection, and it's just better to sell it and get in the hands of somebody that would appreciate it, and they can see it, they can make an offer. And I still see over those, it's been 15 years. Again, it's still amazing. And I'd see the guys. I didn't go to shows very much. I always went to the National, but I didn't really go to that many other shows. There weren't as many local shows, but I'd see the guys, the price guide guys especially, and go over and have lunch every once in a while. And I've started doing these dinners last 5 years or so. And I'll say this: the podcast. I wish I had embarked on that sooner. I guess podcasting as an art, as a science, has been emerging a little bit more each year. There's some great podcasts out there for this industry, but it's been a great opportunity to connect with some of my star employees, my favorite employees, my teammates that I worked with so closely for so many years, and so to get together and record a podcast has been cool. I forgot to thank the sponsors. Yeah. Again, I probably would still be doing this if I didn't have any sponsors, but the sponsors have really made it fun, and I really appreciate their faith in me, because at this point I'm an old timer. Again, 15 years ago, selling the company almost to the day. But Beckett.com, Beckett Media was the first sponsor, and then I really wanted to make a special effort to make sure that BGS and BAS are included in some of the other kinds of things that were going on there. ComC, because I had enjoyed their service. Burbank Sports Cards and Mike Stadium Sports Cards, because I wanted to be able to compare and contrast different approaches for card shops. Heritage Auctions, as well as Huggins and Scott Auctions, same thing. Two very different approaches, but both ones that I had positive dealings with. And then Topps and Panini and Upper Deck, they were the three main. There are many other sponsors I could have, but I thought, I'm just going to try these and see. And so that's been fun. So one of these days, maybe I'll add another sponsor, subtract one. But again, I just really appreciate the fact that I guess more important than sponsors, though, perhaps their listeners. I had some great friends, longtime friends, who let me know they're listening and are enjoying it. So I hope it's as a broad appeal. It's a little bit of oral history. Again, I really want to be responsive to those of you who have questions or topics. So just send to me at drjamesbeckett@gmail.com. That's DOCTOR James JAMES. Pretty obvious. And Beckett, if you can't spell Beckett, that's not a good thing in this industry. So when I sell on ComC or go to a show, I have a certain approach. And again, this is after the sale of the company. It's just, I had a time when I was running the company where I really couldn't buy or sell cards. It just would have been a conflict of interest. but before I had the company, I could do that, and I enjoyed doing that. And so, I don't want to do that on some massive level, but on a level that's fun for me. I'm not cornering the market on anything. I don't, again, most of the cards I had were kind of like type cards. So I don't have quantity of any one thing, but I've got some stuff that I've enjoyed, allowing people to kind of, make an offer on, like I say. My dealings with Beckett Media are generally very positive. I have, again, I'm not over there all the time, but when I am over there, it's delightful to see the guys. I love what Eric's doing. Brian Fleischer's working hard. Jeremy Murray and the grading team. There's just a lot of good stuff going on. And so what's my relationship to Beckett Media now? Well, I'm just kind of they say I'm an advisor, but that's probably not the best word for it, but they do, how do I put this? I believe they treat me right, but I'm special, but I'm not that special. In other words, I get, if I have cards I want to get graded for, again, just to see what they grade out at or for protection, and I do have some of those, I get best customer rates. I don't get free grading. I don't get, same day turnaround. In fact, I think from what I can tell, I'm getting a similar turnaround to what most of you are experiencing if you do the non-guaranteed service, because it's not days, it's not weeks, and it's months. But I'm not complaining, and I'm also not complaining that I'm certainly not getting any favoritism on grades. It's just pointing out that I'm not able to scrutinize a card to know the difference between a 7 and an 8 or an 8 and a 9. I mean, I can see if something's a 6 as opposed to a 9, but from one grade apart, I have trouble. So the question I get asked a lot is, do you miss the good old days? And the answer for anybody that's my age or that was very involved in the hobby is yes, I miss the good old days, even though these good new days are, it's terrific what's going on. The hobby has gotten much more dynamic, increasingly in the last few years, and I hope that is a long ride. A lot of energy, a lot of new blood, a lot of money chasing new and old cards. And then the final question that I get, that I don't get as much now, but I used to get, is that, are you going to buy the company back? Are you interested in buying? And my answer always was no. And frankly, my answer was no before they even said, what would the price be? At some point, the problem is, it's kind of like with cards, is that if the price would be low, then you'd wonder, well, what's wrong? If the card price is too low, you'd think, well, maybe there's some damage there in some way. So I never really got into that. I really wish the new owners well, just like the ones I sold to. And then this successor group, they have their own approach. They've earned the right to do that. I want them to be successful, but I certainly want them to be successful in the right way with treating the customers and the employees and all that stuff right. So, my goal is to do the best I can do, to have fun with this podcast, and to disclose or reveal or share some of these stories, some historical as well as some of these interviews with people that are more timely. So we've got all that coming up. Like I said, email me if you've got interest in topics that are not being covered. At this point, after more than 100 episodes, I've got lots of different types of episodes. Let me know what you like so I can do more of that. Let me know what you don't like so I can shorten them up. So again, thanks for doing this. Thanks for the walk down memory lane of what it was like after the sale. It's like watching, it's not like watching a kid graduate from college or something, but it's the company grew up and is marching out on its own, and the employees are working hard, and the leadership's trying to do the best they can. So hats off to them. Thank you for listening. Be back again tomorrow with another less personal episode.